I've always been an admirer of the Street Triple. Having had a test ride on the old 675 model a few years ago, I was quite smitten. So when the opportunity came around to get a ride on the new 765, I needed to make a decision of what model I went for. There are three models to choose from in the range. The bottom of the range S, which has 111 horsepower, 2 riding modes, an LCD dash, non-adjustable shower, forks and a preload adjustable rear. I went for the R model because the jump-in spec is relatively significant. The power goes up to 116 horsepower, the torque up to 77 newton meters. You get Brembo monoblock brakes, a slip assist clutch, fully adjustable shower suspension, the TFT screen, 4 rider modes, the DRL headlights, self-cancelling indicators and a fly screen. The RS model brings the power up to 121 horsepower, and that gets Brembo M50 brakes, fully adjustable Showa front forks, fully adjustable Öhlins rear shock, a quick shifter, a lap timer on that TFT dash, and 5 modes, so there's an added track mode. Just to add confusion to that, Triumph have now launched another new version of the RS, but I won't go into that now. All the reviews and articles I've seen recently say that the RS is much more track focused, and so I thought for riding on the road, the R was the prime model to go for. The important thing is what it's actually like to ride out on the road, and this is what I found. As you can see, it's a quick bike and it makes an absolutely glorious sound. There is, as you'd expect, an obvious power increase over the outgoing motor, but what I like about these triple motors is that very flat, very usable torque curve right through the rev range. As you can see from the chart, there's already plenty of torque at 3000 RPM and it just doesn't let off until you're at 12,000. For some reason on this chart the green line stops halfway through, but it's the only torque curve chart I could find that showed all 3 bikes on there. And you'll notice despite the less top end power of this tune compared to the RS, the R model has slightly more usable torque in the lower and mid range, and this is why I think this is maybe a better B-road blaster. But it's also a docile pussycat around town. The fueling is spot on, there's no snatchiness at all, and the bike is happy to bimble around contentedly at the lower end of the speedometer. But it's the twisty, windy roads where you're going to be wanting to spend all of your time on this bike. The suspension gives a taut but yet supple ride quality. It turns on a sixpence, it's incredibly flickable. Those Brembo brakes, even though these are not the M50 monoblocks, are really good. Great feel, great modulation, and if you need to pull yourself up in a hurry, they work faultlessly. I also found it a very comfortable bike to ride. The seat is broad and very supportive. It remained comfortable even after a few hours in the saddle, which I wasn't expecting. So if you're the sort of person that packs light, I think this would make a really good touring bike as well. Just don't bother to try and convince a pillion passenger to go with you. But the 17.4 litre tank and frugal nature will mean you'll get quite a distance before you have to start looking for gas. The Pirelli Diablo Rosso Corsa tyres are an excellent choice for this bike. Nice and sticky, plenty of grip and confidence inspiring even in the wet. And as we've come to expect with modern Triumphs these days, the fit and finish is really good. No issues around the quality of any of the materials or the way the bike is put together. Well, so far this has been quite a glowing review. So is there anything that I don't like about this bike to give a little bit of balance? To be honest, I've got to try quite hard and be quite picky when looking for faults on this bike. And again, it is just really a personal preference. I've got a dodgy knee, so probably I'd quite like the foot pegs to be a fraction lower and maybe a little bit more forward. That's probably something you can sort out afterwards. But again, that's really looking hard at something. I didn't find it to be too much of an issue at all when riding, even over long distances. The other issue I have around it is aesthetics, and it's the headlights that I'm not so keen on. Now, I like twin headlights, there's nothing wrong with those, but when you look at the side side profile, these just stick out a little bit too much for me. Now I know the reason for that. It's meant to look like a sports bike that's had the fairing removed. I completely get that. If it was my bike, I think I would probably go for something like the Motodemic single headlight conversion, which I think looks absolutely fantastic. So this wasn't intended to be a full review of the bike. I wanted to give a little bit of background on the range, but also give the reasons why, if I was spending my money on one of these bikes, it would be the R version that I would buy. Would I have one of these in my garage? Yes, I certainly would. Would my driving license like me to have one in the garage? Probably not. I love the fact that it's such a flexible bike. You can hoon around the country lanes, you can pretend you're a Moto 2 racer on a track day. It'll quite happily deal with a commute or riding around in urban areas, and it's pretty long-legged if you want to do a bit of touring as well. I hope this has been an informative and entertaining video. If you've got any comments or questions, leave them down below. In past reviews, people have asked to hear a little bit more of the bike and a little bit less of me speaking, so I'm going to sign off and say thanks for watching, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. And I'll leave you with the gorgeous sounds of this 765cc triple motor.